Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. SonicWeb Studios is the answer. SonicWeb Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. SonicWeb Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosensia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosensia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many else. So grab your copy today for it goes Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music, and more. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas 24/7, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, makes great guests year round 24/7. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Mosensia and check out his books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also T-shirts, pop sockets, phone cases, lots of cool goodies. Amazon.com/Mia Mosensia. Check it out today. And don't forget to support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, as well as PayPal and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with a terrific gentleman who is part of a duo that is out of the Texas area. We have a gentleman who's going to either join us later or he's busy composing. He's a composer, arranger, and a trombonist with a degree in music from the University of North Texas. And we also have a gentleman who's with us right now. He's a self-taught guitarist and producer, spent 15 years touring the U.S. and Australia in a punk band. And this group described as 70s detective noir with a blaxploitation score. We'll find out what that is. And live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios, somewhere in deep in the heart of Texas, the one half of the amazing duo that's out there, ladies and gentlemen, Jason Vandygriff of the Lord Baltimores. Jason, good morning.
How you doing, man?
Good evening. Hey, I'm great. Thanks for joining us today.
Man, thanks for having me. I love this show. I'm glad I got to come on, man.
Well, it's great to have you on board as well, too. After reading what you have, it's amazing. And of course, your friend David Pierce, who's best known as Deep Ears, he's a composer, arranger, trombonist with a degree in music from the University of North Texas. And you're known as RJ5, self-taught guitarist, producer, spent 15 years with Australian punk band touring the U.S. and Australia. And you guys described the 70s detectives noir and blaxploitation music. And and before we talk about your amazing debut release, The Lord Baltimores, how'd you guys come up with the name The Lord Baltimores?
Well, it's funny, and I'm a big baseball fan, and I always wanted, I love the history, and so I was actually looking at old Negro League teams and team names for something, and I had come across the Lord Baltimores. They were a team from Baltimore, obviously. They were from 1887. They went 2-4 on the year. And I just thought it was a cool name, the Lord Baltimores. It sounded kind of catchy, but I didn't want to use something like real common, like the Homestead Grays or the Kansas City Monarchs, because people knew about that,
or the Chicago Cubs or Texas Rangers, maybe. Maybe the New York Yankees would be okay. So
yeah, well, of course, but I had to get something that I'm not going to get a trademark, a cease and desist letter on. But no, that's how we came up with it. It was just a random thing, and it seemed to fit the vibe of what we were doing at the time, which of course changed.
And of course, too, like with the Texas Rangers, you've been a big fan of them as well, too. So it's like a little bit of history. And
that's I used one of my kind of interest and plugged it into the band. It was really just Dave and I, and we kind of, we're both okay with it. But yeah, that definitely comes from my love of baseball and baseball history.
I would have to say, too, now that the Cleveland Indians are no longer more than becoming the Guardians, you can say Cleveland Indians all you want.
I can do that, yeah. And we've already got merch, right?
That's right, too, yeah. And, of course, the Lord Baltimores at your debut release. And also, too, before we talk about that, and tell us, Jason, how you first got started in music.
Well, my father was a musician. He was a professional musician. He was a singer songwriter, like a kind of a Texas country guy known here. And he had like a number 2 record in England and was nominated for a Grammy. So I kind of was around it, but I didn't grow up with my father. He lived elsewhere, but I saw him a lot and I was around it that way. But, really, just like any other kid from like skate magazines, because I was a big like Motorhead, Bad Religion kind of punk kid growing up, and that shifted over time. I had a history, in a punk band, and it kind of came from, it's in my blood, you could say, but it's like that's the only thing I knew I was gonna. When I started college, I quit college. I was like, I know what I'm going to do. And I should have stayed and I should have gone into music education and learned more, which I had to learn later in life, particularly with this project. But yeah, I knew what I was going to do. And I think by the time I was 21, I quit college and I just went at it. And I kind of got lucky where, we hit a lick and got signed to a couple of different labels and were able to put out, 4 or 5 records and tour and, and then I had kids and I'm here. I am now, doing this kind of stuff, which is very different than my background.
And it does too. You're amazing what you do. And what was it one precise moment that simply influenced you into what you're doing for the rest of your career?
Well, it's hard to say. There's a couple of things. When I saw that you could make a living at it, like you could actually make a living, I thought, man, because nobody wants to work. And I saw my father have success in it. And then when I was in high school, I started playing my first shows in Deep Ellum in Dallas, and I had my first song on the radio when I was like 16 or 17. And so, I was serious about it. And one moment, it had to happen young, but, I went to a couple of cool concerts. I saw ZZ Top at the Cotton Bowl when I was like 12 or something.
Wow.
And I saw some really good, I saw Santana and some really good, inspirational kind of live shows that you had back then. My stepfather, he gets a lot of credit because he gave me his record collection when I was 12, and he graduated high school in 72. So you imagine what he had from, 67 to 74, just a lot of gold in there.
And of course, it's worth a lot of money right now these days if you try to sell, which I'm sure you're not going to do. So
no.
And who are some of our other favorite artists, singers, and songwriters growing up besides the ones you mentioned?
Well, it kind of started out with what my stepfather was into, which was like Sly Stone, Steely Dan, a lot of kind of soul and funk, and then just your typical classic rock stuff. But I would say I definitely leaned towards the soul stuff. But then as I got to be a teenager, punk rock stuff kind of came in, and, you get that angst. And then the grunge thing happened. Like when I graduated high school, that was a popular thing. So I'm all over the place because I grew up on a ranch. So I listened to a lot of country music, and a lot of soul, a lot of rap. When as a teenager and a kid, you like, A Tribe Called Quest, NWA, and just so I'm all over the place musically.
And it sounds like it too. And of course, your sound is described as 70s detective noir with black exploitation scores well too. We'll talk about that along with your debut release of the Lord Baltimores. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. It takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and enjoyed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for it goes missing by Mia Molson-Zia. available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Widener Show on over 30 podcast platforms. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Widener Show on the YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Widener Show podcast and the MikeWidenerShow.com. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/me and for great merchandise, books, and a lot more. Also, support us on Anchor FM as well as PayPal and the Mike Widener Show. Make sure you donate today. We're here with Jason Vandygriff from the Lord Baltimores here on the Mike Widener Show. And David Pierce is scheduled to come on, and he's out composing right now. Let's talk about the Lord Baltimores for just a minute. And you guys are described, first of all, as 70s detective noir with blaxploitation score. And explain that.
Well, all right. So it's a very eclectic thing that we ended up doing. We didn't intend to get there. What we started with was me sending over little groovy beats and things like that to David, who I had met in a session as a producer. We just kind of thought, hey, we'd like to do something fun. I was sending him these little things that could have been like little hip hop songs, or could have been whatever. Well, David, I knew as a horn arranger. I did not understand his ability, and he is an incredible composer. So it turned into, we pulled all the stops. I gave him a song. He Frankensteined it. He cut it up. He sent me back this epic, which was Corazon, which is one of the singles that's about to come out. And it was just beyond me. We had horns. He's like, do we have a budget for strings? And I just heard what he was doing. And I said, we have a budget for anything that you need. And so then we started trading off things. He was sending ideas, and it wasn't too long before we're like, hey, well, this thing has evolved into this big studio project that, 20 something people played on it. And, we get in, we kind of in post, and we're doing all the things, and we're like, hey, this sounds, we're using a lot of wah guitar. I was the guitar player. So we're doing it, and it's got a little bit of a, detective show kind of feel like that, and funky blaxploitation kind of soundtracks like the Mac from Willie Hutch or something like Shaft,
Oh, yes, that's right. Shaft. I remember that.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. I remember. Yes.
It was real reminiscent of that kind of stuff, because it wasn't all just overly done and clean. It was just organic sound captured, and it turned into what we were just calling, this is movie music, is what we were saying, But David is so phenomenal at taking something and seeing beyond where it was, what it was when he got it. And so he took it there. Then it came back to me. We did the studio. We did all the guitar stuff here at my studio, and it just became something that we never expected. And the blaxploitation thing, somebody said, this is what it sounds like. We're like, that's not what we intended, but that's exactly what it's unintentional, but it's a great description, it just is kind of became that.
That's rather interesting. I seem to like that combination. I say stick to it, to be honest with you. So,
well, we are now.
Right. Yeah.
We had so much fun doing this that we want to put out more. And it really used a lot of the influence that we had, the music we liked. Like I say, the Steely Dan, the soul, the R&B, the funk, and then of course the jazz aspect, the Afro-Cuban rhythms, just able to incorporate everything. And then that's when you do that, I guess that's what you get is a detective movie from the 70s.
That is rather interesting. I seem to like that. And we did talk about Corazon, and we'll try to squeeze that in during the show afterwards on the audio version. You also did Relays, Dirty Stroll, and Rise, Engraving, and everything else. And tell us more about the songs from the Lord Baltimore's release.
Well, that's the good thing about it. So, Corazon is kind of what I was mentioning before. It was really, produced, I would say, and it was really well thought. And then some songs like Rice and Gravy, it's one of the 2 songs that have vocals on the whole record. And it's like kind of a Southern Louisiana, Cajun kind of funky vibe. And that's a more straightforward song, where I sent this song to David and we do horn arrangements. That song's in the pocket. Well, then you've got a song like Dirty Stroll, and we can get very noir. You immediately picture a detective standing under a street lamp, in a trench coat. It's just, it brings that to mind. And so each song was completely developed separately. We didn't know what we had. I think we had about 11 songs or 12 songs to start with, and we ended up with 9.
Wow.
But we also wrote during that period. So a couple of songs got thrown in last minute. So it was, but each song was just developed, and then we moved on. And so we weren't staying on any sort of template or pattern. We just, whatever the next one called for, we went at it.
That's so interesting how you had the one with all the Southeast Cajun Louisiana influence. You also had was it Featherweight? You had Fun Steppin', Qualifier, Title, In the Middle of the Dust, and you can just tell about briefly the rest of those songs.
Yeah, well, so like Featherweight's it's a really beautiful song, but we incorporated some kind of 80s, like guitar work, like Steve Lukather type of stuff that you would hear on Michael Jackson, or you would hear from Toto, or, some stuff like that. And so that one's a little bit more 80s modern, less 70s soul. And as you go through the record, Fun Steppin', that's a second line band, which kind of has another New Orleans kind of vibe, where it's we've got a tuba in there, and we've got a lot of low horns, and it's that's a fun song. And then David wrote a beautiful song for his son called In the Middle of the Dust. And that's one that he wrote. It's just piano, strings, and horns, and a vocal. It's a poem he wrote. And that one it's another thing. It just turned into its own thing. And David ran with that one. It turned out beautiful. And it's just the kind of approach we had to each song. Nothing really said to us, we have to do this. We just started and then incorporated what we needed. And that song in particular, the last one, is a beautiful song for his son. And it's, again, the other song with vocals. A lot of what we do, we said, hey, no words. We don't want, like popular music has the vocals stepping on everything. We want the instrumentation, the arrangements, the composition to shine without the interruption of vocals, of words and a story. Let the listener decide where that goes.
That's really interesting. Sounds like they make good movie soundtracks. That's what it sounds like. So,
well, and that's why it came out, when we were getting reviews and people were talking about it early, we were giving it to some people we knew. That's the first thing you heard. It's like, this is a score music. It would be the score, like what's going on during the movie. Well, a lot of those scores, if you look at Bill Conti, who did Rocky, Morricone, if you listen to these scores without the visual, they're just entrancing. And I mean, they really just stand alone. And we did that. And so with the videos that we've been putting out to this music, it's become a movie. It's going to be a short film. We've got, I think, 2 out. 2 are in production right now. One just got finished shooting. The other one's starting to shoot. And then we've got an animated video for Rice and Gravy. Oh, so wow. I think in all, it's going to be about 6 or 7 of the songs combined into a short movie. But the movie and the visual came after the music. It was written around the music.
That's really interesting. You talk about movies and animation and everything. What are some of your favorite movies growing up?
Well, so obviously, I grew up in Texas. So, I mean, the best movies, like, I was more of a book guy because I lived, out in the country. So I would read books, especially as I got into my teenage years. And I think a lot of those movies turned, like Lonesome Dove. But, I got to see the Saturday afternoon, what was on the weird channels, before cable. So it might be Cooley High.
Oh, yes.
Some 70s movies that were they're just putting in reruns. They licensed them, and everybody had them. So a lot of those movies stuck with me. I loved all the good stuff, but Star Wars, all that stuff. But I think I really was drawn into those like Saturday, Sunday afternoon, just kind of cheap movies. I mean, that's the first place I saw, like I said, Cooley High is a good one. The Mac, some of those blaxploitation films were from, that mid 80s. That's just what you got when you lived out in the country north of Dallas,
That's really interesting. And you also had some extra songs. Any plans on putting on another album or maybe an EP or something?
Yeah, so the Lord Baltimores, Dave and I, Deep Ears and myself, what we are is more of a production team, we feel like. So I've been writing songs for David, and I've got about 15 to 20 and they're just kind of parts that I will send to him. And we talked about after the new year doing it, but in the meantime, we have projects that we're producing. We just did 3 records, a jazz record, a guy named Dave Monch, Mike Morrison, guys that played on the Lord Baltimore's record that are either professional musicians. Mike is a teacher at TCU. He's a professor there. And then we did Mike Luzecki, who played bass in his band Sky Window. So we're producing, we've got about 6 projects that we kind of want to knock out. Then we do ours and then we get back. So we have, I think we're trying to do 10 to 12 producing projects over the next year and a half. And then in that time, we're going to do ours as well while we got everyone in the studio. Ours is such a large production that you kind of just really have to dig in, you know? And with these others, we can knock out in days. They're live jazz sessions in the way of a Blue Note or Verve Records type of thing. So, yeah, so we put a lot on our plate. And then like David, he's not calling right now because he's a composer. He has all the Christmas shows that he's got to do. And that's where he makes his money this time of year. So, you know, I get put on hold and I write all this stuff. And so he'll be bombarded when he gets done.
And of course, I was thinking about the whole jazz aspect. I forgot to ask you, who are some of your favorite jazz musicians growing up?
Well, that's an interesting thing. I learned about jazz from hip hop, from, you know, my favorite rap band or hip hop group was A Tribe Called Quest. Well, that's where I first heard about Ron Carter. Okay, so then you go down the Ron Carter rabbit hole as like a teenager, and I'm like, oh, so you mean Ron Carter played with Herbie Hancock and Miles Davis and Tony Williams? So then I became a huge Herbie Hancock fan. I'm a big Grant Green fan. I just took my 13-year-old son to the Hollywood Bowl to see Herbie Hancock's last night of his tour. So my son's into jazz as well, and he wanted to go. And so I told him, I said, we don't do enough for him. And he's a really great kid. And so, yeah, we got to go see Herbie. Herbie's my all-time favorite, Ron Carter. And then, you know, the list is long. I'm constantly being introduced to somebody else. And then my favorite jazz players are the guys I get to play with. Mike Morrison, Marion Powers, her vocals. She's a vocal professor. And a lot of these guys did 1 O'Clock Lab Band stuff at UNT. You know, it's renowned for its jazz program. Oh, wow. I'm a fan of the people I get to be around as well, you know, because they're so talented.
And you got a great talent as well, too. You guys are blessed with it. And where can we find the Lord Baltimore's and all your works at?
So we have, of course, the LordBaltimores.com. There's our record label, LuckyBuckRecords.com. And of course, on Instagram. Instagram is the most, you can interact with us there. We do a lot of music appreciation, put up artists we love and get people to think about that. And we do some live video stuff, but the Lord Baltimore's on Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. And, you know, we respond to, we're really personable cats. We love to hear from the people.
That's certainly amazing. We're looking forward to hear from you as well. What else is coming up for the Lord Baltimore's? And Jason, we'll find out just 1 minute. You listen to the Mike Widener Show at the MikeWidenerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor of the Mike Widener Show, international warring author Mia Molson Zia Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with Jason Vandygriff of the Lord Baltimore's after this time out. We're back with Jason Vandygriff of the Lord Baltimore's here on the Mike Widener Show. Just a lot of great, interesting stuff that he was talking about with the music, influences, and more. And besides talking about what you have planned as well, too, with the 6 albums and everything else, what else can we expect from you in 2022 and beyond, Jason?
Well, that's the busy year. That's when we really dig in. We start producing our records. So there's a lot of talented cats in the Denton area that, you know, that we're trying to get out there. We have horn players, organ players, you know, if you play a vibraphone, but we do have a lot of really talented artists we're going to be producing in addition to the 3 that we started with this year. So you can expect that we'll begin work on our record probably around the summer. And when we start work on a record, we get to hopefully record and have everything done in about a year's time. That's what it seems to take. But in the meantime, we're just trying to find talent that in the area and make sure that they are out there. In North Texas, there's a jazz scene, there's a soul scene, and we're fortunate enough that the label Lucky Buck Records is so supportive. They really just let us run with some things. And so we're going to put out 10 to 12 jazz records, jazz influence records, some fusion stuff, funky stuff. And then we're in addition to another Lord Baltimore's record. And
Oh,
that will be a busy year. If I can get 12 records out in 2 years, I'll be happy. But I'm trying to get 8 or 12 out sooner than that.
that is one heck of a feat. I like that. And of course, you're looking for musicians to fill the void, fill the need on some of your material. And how do musicians get a hold of you, and what do they need to do?
Well, so we always look at talent because we want to showcase talent. So if you can email the Lord Baltimores at gmail.com. You can go to our contact through our website. Particularly what we use a lot of different people on our sessions. We'll use talent. And so we're really happy to engage people, particularly, we have a lot of friends that come out of the University of North Texas school. And I'm a big fan of these kids who are, they're 20 and 21 years old, and I'm learning about them. I can't wait to meet these kids. So anytime there's a talented player, I just really indulge that. I always love to meet people, I always have. And even now we get messages on Instagram and things like that. And I'll spend hours just looking at a random person's guitar videos or a keyboard player. I just love doing that stuff. So always reach out. Yeah.
That's amazing too. And of course, if anybody's a musician out there and they're interested, you can also email him as well too. We'll tell you more about that. And of course, we're here with Jason Vandygriff of the Lord Baltimores here on the Mike Wagner Show. Just a few more minutes, Jason. Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Oh man, my kids changed my career. I used to love punk rock, and I was a touring punk rock musician. I was on the road about half the year. My kids were born. I started those days we would have off in New York. I started flying home on those days instead of hanging out in the city. I came home to see my kids, and that really changed my trajectory. I started producing a lot more, and that lent to me. It made me kind of decide, well, I can do stuff. I want to do the stuff that I've always wanted to do. So that's, coming off the road in a punk band, all I listened to was Stax record, soul music, jazz, just anything to get away from that. And so when my kids, were born, I fell in love with them. I wanted to be around them. That put me more into producing. Producing put me in front of more musicians, and I was able to really, dive into the soul, R&B, jazz, funk thing that I had brewing forever. And then, of course, meeting David. David I've only known for, 4 or 5 years. I hired him on a session to do a horn arrangement for me. And he's probably in the past 3 years been my biggest influence. And I'm sure I've influenced him, but not to the degree he has me. He's just been incredible to work with. And he's my partner moving forward. I won't do another thing without consulting him first. He's a big influence on me in just a short period of time.
Oh, that's so amazing. I love that collaboration. You guys have great chemistry. Yeah. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
I'll say this because I didn't give up. I had a few years early when I started, and I committed, and it was tough. And I had to work some jobs that I didn't like, but I had to pay the bills. And I'll never forget quitting my last regular job because I said to myself, hey, I'm making more money playing music than I am, working in an office. And I actually got to quit. And I tell you, I just never, I quit the job, but I never quit music. So just keep going. Just don't ever stop.
Mm-hmm. And that's very important advice as well, too. Once again, Jason Vandygriff of the Lord Baltimores on the Mike Wagner Show. Jason, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back on in 2022 and beyond. And just one more thing. Tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your music?
Oh, that's a great point. We have vinyl that has just gone to print. It should be out by I'll have it in hand in the new year. So all of this music, obviously it calls to be heard on vinyl. So you can find that on luckybuckrecords.com. Of course, our music's out there on iTunes, anywhere you get music, Amazon, the music's out there. Look up the Lord Baltimores. And of course, look at the videos are dropping, about every 6 weeks where we've got new videos coming out. And then, of course, the vinyl, like I say, luckybuckrecords.com, lordbaltimores.com. Find us on Instagram, email us at thelordbaltimores@gmail.com, and we'll get you anything that we have.
Sounds good. We will do so. Once again, Jason, a very big thank you for your time. You've been totally amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date, keep in touch, and looking forward to speaking with you again. You've been absolutely amazing. Wish you all the best, and you've got a great future ahead of you.
Thanks. Love the show, Mike. I really do.